Good evening and welcome to the Co-operative Party's local election campaign launch. My name's Gareth Dowling. I'm the local government officer here at the Co-operative Party. As we mark 100 days until local elections across England, we'll be contesting on elections across 100 plus councils across the country, and we'll be looking to stand over 600 or 700 candidates. I'm delighted you've all joined us tonight to hear from a range of speakers from across the cooperative movement, and I will move straight into our first speaker. I'm delighted to welcome Miata Fambulla MP, Communities Minister. Miata, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Welcome, everyone. And look, I just want to say three things. It is amazing that we have so many cooperative candidates going into these elections. And for me, these elections are absolutely critical. You don't need me to tell you how tough it is out there in our communities. We have the legacy of communities that are under huge amounts of pressure. And that's a function of the fact that they have not seen the investment that they needed to over the last 15 years. It's a function of the fact that living standards for many people in our communities have not budged, that we have seen a massive denuding of the social fabric of our communities. And we are now having the job of stitching that back together and building that up again. And we cannot do that without cooperative councillors in councils up and down the country, working hand in glove with national government, with regional government, in order to ensure that we deliver for our communities. So the stakes couldn't be higher in my mind. And I know that it is tough on the doorstep at the moment. You know, I'm campaigning and we're having hard conversations and people are frustrated, rightly so, about the pace of change. You know, they voted a Labour government in because they wanted us to change the country. They gave us that mandate and people are frustrated. They want change yesterday and we need to do more and we need to step up on that. So the campaign job is a hard job, but the thing for me that gives me huge amounts of hope, and the thing that I think you as cooperative candidates should take with pride and should take with hope, is yes, we face massive challenges. Yes, there's a huge mountain to climb to begin to change our country, and we must absolutely do that. But I fundamentally believe in my core that the cooperative party, the cooperative movement have the answers to the problems that we face. And we're starting to put some of that in practice in government already. And whether that is the English Devolution Empowerment Bill, which is going through at the moment, which has the cooperative movement's fingerprints all over it, the community right to buy, devolution of power to our communities, to local government, to regional government. These are the tools that will help us build and bridge our communities together. We've just launched the Pride in Place programme, which means one of the most exciting things that we are doing, where in our 244 most deprived communities, we're saying, look, we're going to invest in you for the long term. So over a decade, 2 million a year, in order to bring our communities together, to have a conversation about their place, about the change that they want to see. And then we give them the power, the agency, the voice to drive that change through, putting communities at the very heart and at the very center of affecting change for them in their lives. And those core ideas of the power that sits when community has agency, when they are the agents of their destiny and their change, the power that sits with the basic idea that actually we need to push power down into our communities. We need to build our communities. We need to make sure that we are empowering and creating ownership and new structures of doing things. For me, is the way that we start to change the country. And the thing that I think we can all do as cooperators is sell that message, give people hope, give people belief that change is possible, point to the tangible things that we are starting to do as a government in order to make that happen, and speak with pride about the role that you will play as cooperative councillors to drive that change through so that we can fundamentally change people's lives. And so for me, that is exciting, but the stakes are high, and making sure that we have amazing candidates that are doing the amazing hard work that we need them to do in our communities is absolutely critical. So I want to say huge good luck. I want to say, no matter how hard the conversations are, meet people where they are and take them on a journey that talks about the change that you know and I know, that with cooperative principles at the very heart of what we are doing, we can drive in the country and win seat after seat after seat, so that local government, can work with regional government, can work with national government to do the job of changing the country. So good luck on your campaigns. I hope I'll see some of you on the doorstep. We've got 100 days, we've got a huge amount of work, but rest on the belief that we are all here trying to change the country. It is our movement that has the ideas to do that, and we will work together to get the wins and fundamentally make sure that we are driving change across our communities. Thank you.
Thank you again, Miata, for joining us, and thank you for all the work you and the cooperative MPs are doing in Parliament to make sure that our councillors and our candidates can campaign on real cooperative solutions in the upcoming campaign. I'm very pleased to be welcoming our next speaker, who is, of course, our General Secretary, Joe Fortune. Joe, thank you for joining us also.
Thank you very much, Gareth, and thank you, Miata, as well. As Gareth says, I'm the General Secretary of the Co-operative Party. It's an amazing honour and luxury to work within not just the party, but this wider cooperative movement. It's one that I have so much belief in, I have so much energy for, and so much hope for our future. Now, like Miata said about some of those cooperative solutions, and talk about pride in place, talk about some of those the community right to buy, some of those really important places where the cooperative movement and the cooperative party have worked really hard to influence. The thing for a political party is to have decision makers at those crucial decision making tables right across the country. For us, one of our guiding stars is to have cooperators at decision making tables right across the country. That's what we're aiming to do, and it's what we've been incredibly proud of over the last number of years, to see our councillor numbers and base and activism to increase so much over the last 5 or 6 years. It's been one of the huge sources of our strength and our influence within the movement and within that Labour movement. It's one of the things we've been focused on the most through the last 5-10 years. I feel incredibly proud of the work that you've done to get our cooperative message out into so many councils, into so many communities. It's something that we continue to find our strength from, our inspiration from, and that's why we must ensure that we stand with you as much as we can through periods of time like these elections. 100 days to go. 199 nights to go. We've got a period of time where we've got to work together. We've got to ensure the cooperative party and the cooperative movement comes together to help yourselves in your own campaigns, in your own council areas, with members, with all of the aspects of the cooperative movement that we can bring together. Think about some of the things that we've done together over the period of that time. Think about the 120 councils that we together have moved beyond their legal duties on modern slavery, eradicating modern slavery within supply chains in communities right across the country. Think about what we've done on fair tax together, moving 60, 70 councils into a place where they're thinking so much more about the types of procurement, the types of organisation that they procure local services from. We've worked together on food justice. We've developed food champions right across this nation as well within local government. We've developed cooperative development, cooperative solutions, developed new co-ops, developed new community assets up and down high streets across our towns and communities. It's been an amazing journey that we've been on. And as Miata has just said, there's a next piece. What's that fight for? The fight is for community empowerment. The fight is for Community Britain. The fight is for ourselves as our individuals, our friends, our family, to feel much more empowered where they live, feel that there is utility to involvement, understand that there is cohesion, which comes from that community ownership. We've talked about it being shared space, shared experience, and shared ownership. That's what we are looking to do in local government, in national government, in regional government as well. We've got some tools coming down the track to have that community right to buy, radical peace in England. We've got a radical government programme within Pride in Place. The first time a government's starting to look at what is that economic empowerment look like from community ownership? What is that cohesion aspects of community ownership look like? We've got much to fight for, and we've got now starting to be that record of cooperative change in local government. I'm incredibly proud of the work we've done together. I'm incredibly proud of the work that you've done on behalf of the cooperative movement. I am incredibly motivated by not just surpassing some of these targets that Gareth mentioned, whether that's 700. I want that number to be so much more. I want there to be cooperators at decision-making tables all over this country, because we know the value that we bring. We know the remarkable cooperative solutions that we're able to put forward when we get into those positions of influence. So thank you so much from all of us at the Cooperative Party. And as Miata says, you'll be seeing us on your doorsteps and within your teams over the next 100 days. So thanks very much, and I can't wait to do more together.
Thank you, Joe. And obviously, we have the privilege of working together every day, but it is a good opportunity to remind ourselves of just how much we have achieved as a party and how much more we can achieve if we do that again over the next 10 years. And obviously, another key leader in that is our chair, Jim McMahon MP, who knows more than anyone else the importance of cooperation in local councils and leading a local council. So, Jim, if we can bring you in at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. The first thing for me to say is thank you for being candidates. Our movement is only ever going to be as strong as the people who decide to step up from their community to represent our movement, our values, and the reason why we're in politics. I'm incredibly proud that for 13 years I was a councillor, but not just a Labour councillor, a Labour and cooperative councillor. And I think sometimes we kind of skirt over our cooperative politics a bit quickly without stepping back and reflecting, well, why are we cooperative? We understand why we're Labour. We can see that there's a Labour government here. But there is a reason why we believe that the cooperative politics really matters. There is a reason why we spend so much time trying to convince the Labour Party about our programme for change, whether it's economic, social or political change here in Westminster. But the reason why we have the right to be heard here is because of the examples that we can point to around the country, where we are in power, where we're building communities, and where we're really kind of organising at a local level a different type of politics. Now, maybe for some time, not every part of the movement understood why cooperation really mattered. Probably many people on the fringe of politics would think that we were the shops or the funeral homes, or you kind of name it, but we were kind of the retail face through our societies, and people would kind of scratch their heads and work out, well, what on earth is a cooperative party? I recognise the shops, but what is this party over here? I think now, though, there is an appreciation that all politics is local. And maybe even more than that, actually, that all politics is hyper-local. That people's desires, their hopes, their fears, their ambitions are rooted actually in a very modest way in their families and their communities. And so the reason why we've had the right to be heard is because Community Britain and the rootedness now that we're able to show is a direct rebuttal to the politics that tries to kind of pull people away from the centre ground of politics and to choose a side. Because what we say is that there are no sides to choose, and if there is, it's community. And actually what we don't do is to divide and rule, divide and conquer. We bring people together and we rebuild that common ambition for our communities. And that is different. And I think now when we're seeing on the left with the Lib Dems and with the Greens in many cases, and on the other side with Reform and the Tories are chasing them down the road, there is a risk in politics that we ourselves kind of work out, well, which side do we choose? And it requires a lot in politics, I think, to be the leaders in this space and to actually, we're going to build a different type of politics entirely. And we're not going to build a new politics. We're going to go back to our roots of cooperation, of building something together, and importantly, that we share the dividend of that what we create. There's a lot of frustration in the country at the moment. You can feel it, not just online. That's always been the case for as far as I've been involved in politics. But I think the anger and frustration now that's been felt in our communities is because people just haven't been able to get on, that people are not positive about the future, that people have been asked to do absolutely everything that's been asked of them. They've contributed, they've worked hard, but they're not able to get on. And it's on every aspect when they open the front door, walk onto the streets, and it doesn't feel that it's doing well. When they go to the high street and the shops that were there in the past aren't going to be there in the future, or the local pub, the community centre, the bank or the post office, you name it. It feels at every turn the communities that we have relied on for so long growing up, that gave us security and purpose and identity, are being challenged at every turn. And so we believe that cooperation, where we all contribute and we share the dividend, is part of that. We believe that Community Britain is a framing of that. And we also believe that practical levers are needed to achieve that. That's why you'll see in the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill that there's just so much community in there. Community empowerment, community power, the community right to buy, and also kind of putting the kind of real power in the hands of a community rather than the government doing it essentially in a very command and control way. Why does all that matter? Because I would say that we get a hearing in every community when we are rooted in that community. When we feel disconnected, when we feel like we are pontificating from here, from Westminster, people turn off. People want to know what it means in the places that they call home. And that really is a call to arms. And that's the reason why I know that you're all involved in politics in the end. You are not the type of people to sit back and say, well, somebody else might come along and solve it for us. Or even the kind of politics of division will come and go. That it's a fad, that it's about the algorithms, that people are being drawn in. But in the end, there'll be a kind of a reconciliation of that somehow. And politics will be back to normal in the way that it was. I just say this, that mainstream politics is on notice. I don't think the public want it to go back to the way it was. I think the public are waiting to build something different, and we have a choice here. We either build something together, and we do that through our leadership. We stand back and let's just see if somebody else will fill that void. And we are beginning to see now the dangers of that when Reform, for instance, are in power. Just look at what they've done to their county councils. Look at what they've done to their moralities. You know, there are now real examples of the risk of what that type of politics means. And probably a bit more than that, actually. It's also, and I find this almost like some of the most frustrating bits of seeing the way that it plays out. It's just how superficial it is, their politics. You know, their politics is to say, well, look around you and just think about how terrible things are. And then just look at who's to blame. It's the establishment, it's your neighbour. When it comes to solutions about how you rebuild, they are completely missing in action. And just look at what their councils are doing now across the country. They're closing care homes, youth centres, they're reducing frontline services, and they're increasing council tax after a promise they're saying they wouldn't do that. And that's the gulf, really, that we see here. So if we get this right, and we can mainstream our politics of cooperation and Community Britain, if we can do more to cement that within the Labour government, and we are doing that now through Pride in Place, through the Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill, then I think we are beginning to see the change realised here that gives you the tools to do your job well. And the final thing I'll say is this. None of us believe, because we know that the bad times are over and the good times are here, austerity is gone and everything is back to the way it used to be. It's not going to go back to the way it was 15 years ago. And in a way, maybe nor should it. You know, the world has changed, the demand on public services has changed, and the solutions need to change alongside it. But that doesn't mean that we don't believe that it's not our responsibility to build a better future, rather than just managing decline in the way that we have been forced to do for over that decade. You know, our communities would be in a much worse position if not for the shielding that our Labour and cooperative councils have given to those communities. They would have felt far more the brutality of austerity if not for the organising that was taking place. And we need to turn that round now. So we're not just about organising to protect things being lost. We're now organising to help rebuild the future in those communities too. And if we do that, it's my belief that there is a path to a second-term Labour and cooperative government. That's got to be rooted in community. It's got to be hearing the first time what communities need and want for their areas and acting on it early enough so that we can own that win. And it's got to be kind of drawing in those lived experiences that you have on the ground. But if we get this right for these local elections, we do not have to kind of buy into the negativity that we see where people believe that these elections will not produce the results that we want them to, and that it will kind of have a marker down, if you like, for the public's view on the current government. I don't believe that at all. I believe that we are early enough into this parliament to change course and really cement that community action. And I believe that winning well is part of that. So all power to your elbow, carry on cooperating, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Jim. Absolutely. And over the next 100 days, we'll be seeking to campaign on our Community Britain campaign, on our cooperative solutions to tackle the divisive politics that we are seeing. And I'm very pleased to move on to our next two speakers, who are both leaders on the ground in local council. So our next speaker, Councillor Aroo Shah, leader of Oldham Council, and also on our NEC representing our elected representatives. Aroo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Gareth, and it's been really interesting to hear from other speakers. And obviously today marks 100 days to go until the local elections, and as other speakers have said, this election really does matter. But I think it's really important to also acknowledge that local councillors are the people who make politics real. We're the ones who show up, we're the ones who listen, and we're the ones who turn values into action. And I think as a cooperative council leader, I see that difference every single day in Oldham. And this year, I'm really incredibly proud that the majority of our candidates in Oldham are Labour and cooperative, because cooperation isn't just a label for us, it's how we lead. We're really proud to have been a cooperative council for more than a decade in Oldham, and cooperation has shaped the way we do things. And actually, if you look at our sort of elections, that sort of connection that we have with the community about not doing politics to communities, but making decisions with them has really, really worked for us. For years, Oldhamers have been telling us that they wanted a better town centre, so we listened. We held the big Oldham conversation. We consulted with what people really wanted and how they wanted to do it. And as a result of that, we brought our local shopping centre back into use and stopped it from closing during COVID, because we knew that once something like that closes, there's just no coming back. So we've reinvested in the space. We've created spaces for council officers. Our residents told us that they wanted a town centre that was thriving. And they really bought into that actually at that time, and continue to liaise with us on really important projects. But we also, through the feedback from our residents, created a sub for social enterprises. And by moving our council offices, we freed real prime brownfield land that we can now build a brand new town centre neighbourhood on, where we're going to have nearly 2,000 homes. Because another thing residents told us is that they really want us to protect as much of our precious green spaces as possible in Oldham. We're also really proud that we've got a record of, really backing community-run services too. So over the last few years, we've brought so many of our council services in-house. We put an end to private companies making profits of public services, and that continues even now through our budget proposals for this year, where we're planning to bring our bulky bob waste collection service in-house. That was outsourced years ago. Our residents told us that it was really expensive, and we had no sort of influence on that. But bringing it back into house and like making negotiations to terminate that contract has now meant that we're going to make it cheaper for our residents while delivering a better service as well. But the biggest example that we've really been able to show as cooperators here in Oldham is protecting local assets. It's easily something that we can demonstrate. And one of those things is our commitment to reopening Oldham Coliseum. We're planning to run that as a cultural cooperative, bringing together our borough's key creative groups. We've got lots of people who are fantastic, are really invested, but our residents were really disappointed and really hurt when they knew that the Coliseum doors, there was a chance of them closing. Well, they actually did close for a bit of time. So having that consultation with them, really getting them to buy into it, where like we've said that if we run this together, everybody owns it. We think that will help sustain it for longer term. So we've managed to save a much loved theatre and refurbish it for the future. And given Jim's on the call, and to get some brownie points off of him, I have to give him a huge amount of credit for the work that he did in this campaign. The cultural cooperative concept about the Coliseum did come from Jim, but it is the way we operate in Oldham. And I think creating the business hubs that I talked about earlier, so a space for social enterprises in our town centre, we're offering an opportunity to really support cooperatives, mutuals and social enterprises, and show business like-minded people that there is a different choice. They don't have to be motivated by greed and profit like other organisations who do exist are, but this is about benefit of the people and a place that they serve. And that's what makes cooperative councillors so much more different than everybody else. We stand up for fair pay, we push for secure work, we fight to ensure public money strengthens local communities and not distant shareholders. And the cooperation movement really allows us to connect people to decisions we make, but also take pride in our communities. And that has helped Oldham, because when times are tough here and people are trying to divide us, the fact that we have local buy-in on our decisions means that people really stand up for a town that they're really proud in. And after so many years, of conservative cuts and neglect, cooperative councils have proved that they've never and don't just walk away. We've never had to think or face closing one of our libraries. We have a pool of really brilliant volunteers that help us make sure that some of our most community and essential public services are still open and serve them. And we work together to protect those services that people rely on the most. And our communities, they don't really need councillors who just manage decline. They need councillors who are willing to fight back. And we've been able to prove through being cooperative councillors that that's what we do. And that's the choice at this election. I think over the next 100 days, we need to be really proud. We heard Miata say that before. We need to be really visible. We need to be loud and really talk about what we stand for. We need to remind people that the Labour Party and the Cooperative Party are agents of change, and we are firmly on their side. And that means knocking on doors, it means talking to residents, and it means making the case that local government can still be a force for good. So I think we should really use these next 100 days to win for our communities, because on Thursday, the 7th of May, people have a clear choice. They either have us, who are together and invested in our communities, and we're going to make sure that they choose cooperation, fairness, and hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Arooj, and thank you for coming on. We know Oldham Council has been a beacon of good cooperative practice for many years under your leadership and that of colleagues and former leaders as well. And some of that can be seen showcased in our recent publication, Empowering Communities Through Empowered Councils. So if anyone wants to have a look at that, you'll find that on our website. And we'll stay on the ground with local leaders. So we're going to move all the way up to Newcastle now, to the Deputy Leader of Newcastle City Council, Councillor Alex Hay, who is embedding cooperation in everything he does in his daily role. And pleased to see you've over 20 candidates standing this May.
Thank you, Gareth. I am really pleased to be here tonight. This year's local elections are happening at a moment when a lot is shifting at once. Power is being devolved out of Westminster and Whitehall and into local government in the biggest shift of its kind in a generation. At the same time, politics is becoming more unstable and more polarised. We're seeing the emergence of a politics that feeds on anger and grievance rather than solutions. And that matters because if power is moving closer to communities, then who holds it and how they use it is really important. That is why the cooperative approach is so important to me. I joined the Cooperative Party because I believed in a simple idea, that power should be shared, not hoarded, and that communities should have a real stake in the decisions that shape their lives. Over the years, that belief has only grown stronger. As a ward councillor, a cabinet member, and now Deputy Leader of Newcastle City Council, I have seen what happens when cooperative values are put into practice. It's not about slogans, it's about how you govern when the pressure is on. I'm standing as a Labour and cooperative candidate in May because the only politics worth defending is the one that delivers for people and communities. And that is not abstract for me. I'm a proud gay man. I grew up knowing what it feels like to be different, to need community, and to rely on others being willing to stand with you. That experience shapes how I see politics and why cooperation is not theoretical, it is practical. In Newcastle, we have made very deliberate cooperative choices. We chose to work in partnership across the Northeast to secure the funding to restore the Tyne Bridge, protecting a shared asset that connects communities and supports our regional economy. We chose to back jobs and opportunity by working with employers, universities and colleges so that growth creates real roots into work for local people. We chose to focus on our neighbourhoods and everyday services because pride in place is not cosmetic, it is political. We chose to design accessibility into new play spaces from the start, shaped with families and schools, not added at the end. And personally, I convened a series of LGBTQ plus roundtables, bringing together communities, public bodies and partners from conversation to collective action. And that led to the council signing the Newcastle Gateshead LGBTQ plus declaration. These are cooperative decisions. They are about sharing power, building consensus and delivering together. And I'm incredibly proud that in Newcastle, we now have 24 and counting Labour and cooperative candidates standing this May. That is a movement. It is people choosing to stand for shared power, mutual responsibility, and community-first politics. May's elections are about which direction local government takes. A politics that divides or a politics that builds. And with more power coming locally and more instability in our politics, it has never been more important to choose the second. So let's get out there, let's take the fight to reform, and let's win in May. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. And I think you've just emphasised that with over 90 Labour and cooperative group and council leaders across the country, we really could have showcased just how much is being done through local councils, through local Labour groups, and delivering cooperation on the ground and in every decision that's being made within councils and within communities. So we've come to the end of our speakers, so it is just myself now. So I hope that they have enthused and inspired you to go out over the next 99 nights, to go out and campaign for our cooperative candidates. There won't be elections in every area, so if you can help and support in areas where you don't have an election, please do get in touch. If you aren't yet a candidate and have thought it might be something for you, again, please do get in touch, because we are still recruiting candidates. We know we are already contesting over 80% of councils across the country. We're going to keep working over the next 4 to 5 weeks to recruit further candidates and make sure that we will be supporting you with training, with events, with sending out campaign packs in advance of your nominations as we approach the nominations period at the end of March, and then through the short campaign right the way up until May. So there's a lot to do. We've got to get out there. We have to support. We can't sit back and let opposition parties just pick seats up. We will be out there fighting to defend seats. We'll be out there fighting to gain seats and to gain councils. So together, I think we can look forward to a promising May for the Cooperative Party as we campaign. As Joe says, I'm saying 600 or 700 candidates. We want to keep pushing that higher and higher. So please, if it is something that is come to your mind now about standing this May, get in touch with us. We'll see where seats are available and where you might want to put yourself forward. And as I say, we've got a wide range of training events and resources that we can support you with as we go through until May. It's a nice short session tonight. I just want to thank you all for joining us, and definitely thank you to our range of speakers who've taken the time out of the diaries to come on here tonight. Good luck for everyone who is standing in May. Any problems, any questions, please get in touch with us and we will do everything we can to support. Thank you.